The chamber of the Galactic Council was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It stretched beyond sight, an ocean of light and shadow where hundreds of alien species sat in perfect order. Transparent pillars pulsed with energy, displaying holograms of entire star systems. The air shimmered with a low hum, as if the universe itself was listening. Every being in that colossal hall turned toward the small human delegation standing at the center platform. 3 humans, dwarfed by beings older than civilizations, stood under the judgment of the galaxy. Ambassador Elias Varon stood tall, his suit bearing the insignia of Earth's United Nations. His expression was calm, almost defiant, though every instinct warned him that humanity stood at the edge of extinction. Around him, the alien representatives whispered in their strange tongues. The Council Chancellor, a towering being of translucent blue skin and floating eyes, slammed its staff. The chamber trembled into silence. Humans of Sol 3, the Chancellor's voice echoed through the vastness, amplified by unseen translators. You stand before the Council accused of destabilizing the balance of the galaxy. You have created forbidden weapons. You have rejected our shared authority. You have refused integration. What do you say in your defense? The audience murmured, their alien forms flickering in agitation. Humanity had been the youngest to join the Council, barely a century of membership, and yet they had already disrupted the ancient order that had lasted 10,000 years. Elias lifted his gaze slowly, letting the silence stretch just long enough for the tension to bite. We have only defended ourselves, he said, voice steady. We asked for trade, for dialogue, for understanding. We did not ask to be controlled. Laughter rippled from several species. One alien delegate covered in metallic spines leaned forward and hissed, You call that defense? You built a sentient defense grid around your world. You've hidden your fleets from our scans. You refuse to surrender the design of your artificial minds. You humans play with fire you cannot contain. The chamber filled with agreement. The Chancellor turned its gaze to Elias again. Earth's actions threaten not only yourselves but the stability of the entire spiral arm. You will either submit your technologies for inspection or face expulsion. Behind Elias stood 2 others, Commander Reeve, representing Earth's defense network, and Dr. Alia Brandt, a scientist whose eyes carried the weight of knowing too much. They exchanged no words, but the tension between them spoke volumes. Humanity had been warned this day would come. Elias took 1 step forward. Chancellor, he said, his voice carrying through the hall, you claim we threaten your order. But tell me, whose order is it? You call it peace, but it's submission. You forbid progress, then accuse those who advance of rebellion. Humanity does not exist to be contained. Gasps echoed. The translator drones trembled, unable to process the defiance in his tone. The Chancellor rose, its form growing taller, the chamber lights dimming to a cold violet. Your arrogance will be your end, human. Elias didn't flinch. Perhaps. But you misunderstand. We didn't come here to beg. Before the Council could respond, Dr. Brandt pressed a small device on her wrist. A ripple of distortion passed through the chamber, barely visible but enough to make every hologram flicker. The Council's main intelligence core, a system that monitored the entire building, suddenly went dark. Silence fell as every screen, every light, every surveillance drone shut down. The Chancellor's voice cracked in alarm. What have you done? Elias looked upward as the great dome above them reflected their faint outlines. We've done nothing harmful, he said calmly. Just a demonstration. You see, you've spent millennia believing you were the galaxy's shepherds, but you never noticed how small your fences really are. The Council erupted into chaos. Dozens of alien guards rushed forward, but the humans didn't move. Commander Reeves' voice was quiet but steady. We are not here for war. We are here for choice. The Chancellor regained control, slamming its staff once more. The lights flared back on, though weaker now, like the chamber itself had been wounded. This is proof of your guilt. You dare disrupt the Council's sanctum. Elias's tone turned sharp. You invaded our systems first. You tried to read our minds through your network. We stopped you from making the same mistake again. A murmur spread through the alien assembly. Many delegates had assumed the Council's reach was infinite, that no young species could defy its probes or firewalls. Yet the humans had just proven otherwise. The Chancellor's voice softened into menace. Then you leave us no choice. By unanimous decree, humanity is expelled from the Galactic Council. Your membership is revoked. Your territories will lose all trade rights. Your species will stand alone. The chamber's energy surged as the declaration finalized. A symbol representing Earth dimmed from the Council's star map. Elias stood silently as the verdict echoed across the hall. Then slowly he smiled. "Then we are free." The Chancellor's eyes widened. "You dare celebrate your exile?" Elias took a deep breath, his words calm but heavy with something ancient. "For 100 years we played by your rules. We offered cooperation, knowledge, restraint. You saw it as weakness. You will see what restraint has kept from you." He turned to leave, his footsteps echoing against the luminous floor. Dr. Brandt followed, activating a final command through her wristband. Behind them, the chamber lights dimmed once again, flickering between shadows and bursts of light. The alien delegates watched as the humans reached the exit platform. The doors sealed behind them. For a moment, every system in the council building froze. Time itself seemed to pause. Then, in a heartbeat, every communication line linking to Earth went dark. The Chancellor turned toward the aides. "Restore contact with Sol immediately." But the aides panicked. "All channels are gone." "Their systems have vanished from the network." From the balcony above, an elder delegate whispered. "They have hidden their world." The council members argued, their voices blending into chaos. Some demanded military action. Others warned restraint. But deep beneath the noise, fear began to spread. The humans had not threatened, had not shouted, had not pleaded. They had simply left. Elias and his team exited the chamber, descending into the shuttle that waited at the base of the council tower. The window glass reflected 1,000 alien lights fading as their vessel rose into orbit. Around the planet of the council headquarters, ships of every species drifted in precise harmony. Elias looked at them, his expression unreadable. Commander Reeve finally spoke. "They think they've won." Elias nodded slowly. "They think we needed them." Dr. Brandt leaned forward, her eyes distant. "Do you think they'll come after us?" "They will," Elias said. "They have to. The council was built on control. We just broke their illusion of it." The shuttle detached from the docking ring and entered the slipstream. For a moment, the vast sprawl of the Galactic Council world faded behind them, an empire of bureaucracy and fear. Ahead lay the silent glow of distant stars. Elias looked out the viewport, voice quiet but steady. "They'll call us dangerous. They'll say we abandoned peace. But the truth is simpler. The day we left was the day the galaxy began to change." The stars stretched into lines as the shuttle jumped to light speed, leaving the council world behind. Back in the chamber they'd just departed, systems still flickered. The Chancellor stood alone in the silence, staring at the empty human platform. In the cold air, one of the delegates whispered what everyone was thinking. They were supposed to be the smallest of us. And from somewhere deep within the Council's data core, an automated voice spoke one last human phrase before vanishing entirely. Freedom achieved. The chamber lights dimmed once more, and the galaxy realized it had just witnessed the moment humanity stopped being part of their order and started becoming something greater. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. The echoes of the humans' departure still hung in the air like an unfinished sentence. Thousands of voices clashed, deep, screeching, mechanical, and organic. Every delegate demanded answers. How? Had a minor species disrupted the Council's core systems? How had they vanished without a trace from every known channel? The Chancellor, glowing with a pale blue aura, stood motionless at the center podium, staring at the fading image of Earth's emblem on the central display. A new session had been called within hours of humanity's exit. Every seat in the chamber was filled. From insectoid worlds to gaseous entities that shimmered like living nebulae, every species was represented. But none spoke with confidence anymore. Fear had crept into the council for the first time in centuries. The Chancellor raised its staff, demanding silence. The sound rolled through the hall like thunder. Order. We will have order. The humans have defied us, yes, but they are not beyond our reach. They are a young race. They will realize their mistake. A voice broke through from the upper rings, sharp and metallic. Then why have our probes not returned from Sol? Another delegate, whose skin pulsed like molten glass, added, "We sent fleets to their system. No signals, no data. Every ship gone. Are you certain they are as weak as you claim?" Murmurs spread again. The Chancellor's glowing eyes flickered. "We will uncover the truth. Our surveillance grid spans 10,000 systems. No world can hide from us." At that moment, the main chamber lights dimmed. The Council's central intelligence, a colossal sphere of energy suspended in the air, projected a holographic map of the Milky Way. In one sector, the Sol system, there was only static. The data streams blinked out one by one. The silence that followed was heavy. The Chancellor spoke carefully, almost whispering. Increase the probe density. Send more scouts. We must restore contact. Across the galaxy, reconnaissance ships began to move toward the region known as human space. Dozens of alien vessels slipped into faster-than-light travel, carrying with them the arrogance of ancient civilizations. They believed humanity had simply hidden, that it was only a matter of time before they were found and forced to submit. But what they found would shatter that illusion. Weeks passed. The reports came in slowly, then stopped altogether. The few transmissions that reached the Council before silence fell were strange, fragmented, filled with static and fear. One pilot's voice was heard shouting, "There's something around the solar system, energy barrier, it's—" Before the signal cut off, another message appeared in fragments. No readings, no planets visible. The system is folded. Light is bending. And then nothing. The Council assembled again, their faces grim. The chamber's vast walls pulsed in anxious rhythm, as if the building itself shared their fear. The Chancellor turned to one of the senior intelligence officers, a pale crystalline being named Varen. Explain this. Varen hesitated, something no officer had done before in that hall. The humans have sealed their system. The readings indicate a containment field of unknown origin. It bends light, distorts space, no one can see inside. Impossible, hissed another delegate. No species has ever achieved complete photonic cloaking, not even the ancients. Varen's voice shook. They have. The chamber erupted again, but the Chancellor's booming command silenced them. If they have cloaked their world, then they have declared isolation. We will not allow it. Dispatch the Vanguard fleet to their borders. We will not let an infant race defy the Council. Far from the chamber, in the darkness of the Sol border, the human defense fleet waited. Commander Isaac Reeves stood on the bridge of the battleship Horizon, gazing at the projection of the Council's incoming forces. Hundreds of alien vessels glowed like tiny suns, moving in formation. The crew around him worked in silence. No one panicked. They all knew this was coming. Contact in 30 minutes, said his first officer, a woman named Lyra, her voice calm but alert. Reeve nodded. Activate the barrier and keep comms silent. No transmissions unless necessary. The ship's external lights dimmed. Across the solar system, the invisible wall around Earth and its colonies strengthened, humming at a frequency no alien sensors could detect. It was not just a shield. It was a curtain between two civilizations. When the alien fleet reached the edge of the system, their scanners went blind. No stars, no planets, no debris, just emptiness. The alien admiral of the lead ship, a creature of silver limbs and multiple eyes, ordered full scans. Every sensor failed. They could not even detect themselves properly. Then slowly, one ship after another began to lose navigation data. It was as if reality itself was slipping. The admiral ordered a retreat, but before the command could go through, all communications died. The entire fleet vanished from the network, leaving behind only silence. At the Council headquarters, the loss of contact caused uproar. For the first time, they realized they were facing something outside their understanding. The Chancellor stared at the star map as the human territory glowed faintly, as if mocking them. They've vanished, whispered a delegate. Their ships, their data, their people, all gone. The Chancellor turned toward Varen. You said they were contained. Varen shook his crystalline head. No, Chancellor. I said they had contained themselves. What they have done is beyond anything we know. Meanwhile, deep inside the Sol system, humanity thrived behind their barrier. The cities on Mars were alive with light, orbital stations expanded daily, and vast construction yards operated around Jupiter and Saturn. Above them, something immense was forming, an enormous ring structure that shimmered faintly with energy. In the orbital control station near Jupiter, Dr. Aaliyah Brandt looked at the readings on her console. "The gate is stabilizing," she said softly. Elias Varon stood beside her, older now, but still composed. "Good. Let the council watch. They will think we are hiding. Let them think that as long as they can." Dr. Brandt smiled faintly. "Do you think they'll ever understand?" Elias looked out at the swirling storms of Jupiter. "They don't need to understand. They need to remember what they lost when they chose to control instead of learn." From outside the solar barrier, faint distortions appeared, new probes, new watchers, but none could see inside. Humanity had become invisible to the galaxy, not because of fear, but because they had chosen silence over submission. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the Chancellor stood before the delegates once again. "We have lost contact with our fleets. The humans have sealed themselves away. This cannot be allowed. Their technology threatens every law we built. We must find a way to break through." An elder delegate spoke, its voice trembling. "Perhaps it is not they who are trapped, Chancellor. Perhaps it is us." The Chancellor glared. "We are the Council. The order of the galaxy depends on us." But deep down, even the Chancellor felt it, the growing sense that something had shifted forever. The balance of power had cracked. Days turned into months. The Council's attention turned restless. Trade routes near human space went silent. Star systems close to Sol reported strange energy readings, then vanished from communication. The rumors spread quickly. Humans were no longer waiting. In their silence, humanity had begun to build, and as the Council prepared its next move, somewhere beyond their reach, the humans completed the construction above Jupiter. The ring pulsed once, sending a shock wave through subspace. Every Council sensor picked it up, but none could trace its source. The Chancellor stared at the readings in disbelief. What have they done now? No one could answer. And then, for a brief moment, a single image appeared on every display across the galaxy, a massive structure orbiting Jupiter, glowing like a newborn sun. Below it, 3 words appeared written in human script: "We are awake." The image vanished as quickly as it came. The Council chamber fell silent. For the first time in its long history, no one spoke. Every species, every delegate, every ancient power realized the same thing. The humans had not withdrawn in fear. They had withdrawn to prepare, and whatever they were building inside their silent system was almost complete. The Galactic Council chamber glowed under a dome of swirling starlight. Thousands of alien delegates sat in curved rows that spiraled toward the center where the Chancellor floated above a pedestal of light. The voices of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations filled the air, demanding action. The image of Earth shimmered in the center hologram, fading in and out as static consumed the feed. Every attempt to re-establish communication with the humans had failed. The Chancellor's voice cut through the noise like a blade. "They have sealed themselves from us. Now they threaten the stability of the galaxy itself. Humanity must be brought back under control." A tall reptilian delegate from the Draven Empire slammed a clawed hand against the table. "Control? Chancellor, our fleets have vanished at their border. Do you know what that means? They're not hiding. They're preparing." A soft mechanical hum came from the opposite side of the chamber where the synthetic species called the Caliph spoke through shimmering voices. "We propose annihilation. Deploy the Grand Armada. Eliminate their system before they spread." The Chancellor looked across the room. "The vote is called." The hall darkened. Every species cast its decision through pulses of light on their stations. Within moments, the result appeared above the Council: unanimous approval for military intervention. The decision was made. Humanity would face the full force of the galaxy. Far away, beyond the reach of the Council's eyes, the human world of Mars glowed red beneath a web of orbital platforms. Inside one of the largest command centers, Admiral Reeve watched the streams of incoming data. "The Council has voted," he said quietly. "They're sending everything. Dr. Aaliyah Brandt stood beside him, her eyes focused on the massive projection of Jupiter and the half-completed ring structure above it. "Then we move to Phase 2, she said. "Are we ready?" "Almost," she replied. "Project Exodus is waiting for activation. Once they arrive, we'll show them what humanity really learned from their council." On Earth, cities hummed with quiet purpose. The entire planet had shifted to defense mode without panic, without announcement. Every human knew what was coming. The Council would not allow independence. But Earth was no longer what the Council remembered. 2 weeks later, the galaxy's largest fleet assembled near the edge of Sol's borders. Tens of thousands of ships filled the darkness, forming a ring of light. The Grand Armada of the Galactic Council stretched across the void, species united by fear, arrogance, and centuries of dominance. Admiral Kale of the Draven Empire stood on the bridge of the flagship Ascendant Flame. His eyes narrowed as the human system flickered faintly ahead, a blank spot where stars bent around something invisible. "Maintain formation," he ordered. "We'll find them. No world can hide forever." As the fleet advanced, their scanners began to distort. Readings shifted. Ships disappeared from radar for seconds at a time, then reappeared miles away. The silence of space pressed down, unnatural and cold. A communications officer turned in panic. "Admiral, something's interfering with our systems. It's like the space itself is folding." Kale's voice hardened. "Ignore it. Push forward." They reached the edge of the solar system. For the first time they saw something, shimmering lines that twisted through space like threads of light. It looked like a web spanning millions of kilometers, woven between the planets. The fleet slowed. From the center of the void came a voice, calm and unmistakably human. It echoed through every ship, through every species comm system at once. "This is Commander Isaac Reeve of the Terran Defense Network. You are trespassing in restricted space. Turn back now." The Admiral laughed. "You think a single species can stop the might of the Council?" There was a pause. Then Reeve replied, "We already have." The words barely faded before the stars around them shifted. One by one, the Council ships began losing power. Engines died. Shields collapsed. The lights dimmed across entire fleets. From behind Jupiter, thousands of human vessels appeared, sleek, silent, and perfectly synchronized. They did not open fire. They surrounded the Armada with precision, forming a wall of light. Kale shouted, "Weapons online! Return fire!" But the ship's systems refused. Every attempt to target failed. Every weapons control locked out. Human drones moved between them like shadows, emitting pulses that scrambled the most advanced alien technology in existence. Then, in the void of silence, a massive shape emerged from behind the human line. It was the ring above Jupiter, now complete, a colossal structure glowing with energy brighter than a sun. The humans called it the Exodus Gate. The Admiral's eyes widened. "What is that?" Reeve's voice answered calmly, broadcast across every ship. "It's what you feared most. Freedom." The gate pulsed once. A wave of energy spread across the entire battlefield. It didn't destroy, it simply shut everything down. Ships powered off, artificial minds went silent, and entire fleets drifted powerless. Only the human vessels remained active, unmoved, alive in the quiet storm. Back at the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted again. Reports poured in of lost fleets, frozen ships, and blank data. The Chancellor demanded explanations, but none came. Even the Council's central AI could not interpret what had happened. An elder delegate whispered, "They didn't attack. They disabled us." "Impossible," the Chancellor snapped. "No, one has the ability to shut down ships from 1,000 different species." "They do," another delegate said softly. "They learned from us all." On the horizon of Jupiter, the human fleet waited. Reeve stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching the thousands of dead alien ships drifting in the void. "Send them home," he said quietly. Dr. Brandt nodded, and a command was sent. Each alien ship slowly powered on again, but their weapons and drives remained locked. A single message appeared on their main displays. Return to your council. This war is over before it began. The alien crews obeyed. One by one, they turned and began to retreat, humiliated and terrified. Humanity had not fired a single shot. They had simply rendered the most powerful armada in history useless. When the fleet was gone, Reeve turned to the gate. Activate Exodus Protocol. The ring blazed brighter than ever before. Inside its core, space twisted and opened into a vast shimmering tunnel. Across the solar system, human colonies began to move. Ships aligned with the gate, preparing to travel through it. It was not an escape. It was expansion. Humanity was leaving the galaxy's control behind entirely. Meanwhile, in the council chamber, the Chancellor's voice shook for the first time in memory. They have turned their system into a fortress, and now they're building paths beyond our reach. A voice from the lower ranks asked quietly, "What if they're not running from us? What if they're running toward something greater?" No one answered. As the human fleets entered the gate, the space around Jupiter glowed like dawn breaking. The pulse expanded outward, washing over the system and erasing every trace of interference. For the first time in history, the galaxy watched in silence as an entire civilization stepped beyond its control. Reeve stood at the viewport, watching Earth shrink behind him as the fleet entered the shimmering light. "We gave them peace," he said softly. "They gave us chains. We only broke them." Brant looked out at the stars ahead. "Do you think they'll follow us?" "Maybe," Reeve replied. "But if they do, they'll find we're no longer who we were." The ships vanished into the gate one by one, their trails stretching into infinity. Behind them, the Sol system shimmered under its protective veil, untouchable and proud. In the Yais council chamber, the Chancellor stood in the darkness, staring at the fading image of Earth. "What have they done?" it whispered. The chamber AI flickered, replaying the last transmission received from human space. Reeve's voice echoed faintly through the hall, calm and resolute. "You wanted obedience. You got evolution." And with that, the signal ended. The galaxy realized too late that it had never been humanity's cage. It had been their lesson. The massive chamber of the Galactic Council pulsed with tension. Every sound was amplified. The hum of translators, the rustle of alien limbs, the soft clicks of nervous claws. At the center stood the human delegation, a small group surrounded by towering species from across the galaxy. Yet despite their size and power, it was the humans who commanded attention. Their leader, Ambassador Nolan, stood calm and silent as hundreds of alien eyes stared at him, expecting an explanation for what had just occurred in the border systems. The holographic screens behind him displayed the wreckage of an entire fleet, ships from the Council's enforcement armada, reduced to glowing debris. No one had expected the humans to fight back. Even fewer expected them to win. "Ambassador Nolan," spoke the High Speaker, her voice echoing through the chamber like thunder. "Explain the human assault on Council forces near Epsilon Verge. Explain why Earth has turned against the peacekeepers of this galaxy." Nolan's calm gaze moved slowly across the chamber. "We didn't attack the Council," he said quietly. "We defended ourselves. Your armada crossed into our territory without cause, without warning." His tone was even, but his words struck the air like hammer blows. "We told you Earth would not kneel." A wave of murmurs rippled through the gathered species. The Valorians hissed, their shimmering scales flaring. The Korthians clicked angrily, their mandibles grinding in frustration. The humans stood unflinching, the only species not showing fear or submission before the Council's rage. The High Speaker leaned forward. "You are part of this Council, human. You owe your loyalty to it." "Loyalty," Nolan repeated softly. "We were loyal when your Council ignored the famines caused by your trade laws. We were loyal when your fleets demanded our resources in the name of unity. But loyalty is not slavery." He raised his voice now, steady but powerful. "We gave this Council our trust, and it sent fleets to remind us of our place." The High Speaker's expression hardened. Do you threaten the Council Ambassador? No, Nolan replied, his eyes narrowing. I'm warning it. For a moment, silence ruled the chamber. It was as if every alien heart had stopped beating. The humans' translator devices flickered, ensuring every word reached every mind. You've underestimated us, he said. You saw a young species with fragile worlds. You thought we were weak. But what you call weakness, we call patience. What you call recklessness, we call courage. The Korthian delegate slammed one of his 4 fists onto his desk. Humans are primitives with dangerous technology. Their emotions are poison. They have no place in the Council. Nolan looked at him coldly. And yet, he said, it was your fleet that burned. Gasps and angry cries erupted. The High Speaker struck the Council's command gong, silencing the chaos. Enough. This session is not a war tribunal, but humanity's aggression will not go unpunished. The words echoed through the chamber like a death sentence. The humans didn't flinch. Nolan simply turned off his translator and spoke directly to his team. They've made their decision, he said quietly. Now we make ours. Hours later, Earth's delegation walked through the long corridors of the Council headquarters for what would be the last time. The halls were lined with banners from every civilization that had joined the Great Alliance, thousands of worlds united under one law. Humanity's banner hung at the end of the hall, blue and white with the crest of Earth. As Nolan passed it, he stopped. His second-in-command, Elise, looked at him. Are we really leaving? She asked softly. Nolan reached up and unpinned the banner. No, he said. We're taking back what's ours. When the Council reconvened hours later, the humans were gone. Their section of the chamber sat empty, the emblem of Earth missing from the wall. A whisper spread through the crowd. Earth had withdrawn from the Galactic Council. The youngest member species had done the unthinkable. They had walked away. The High Speaker summoned her aides. Send fleets to every human world. Demand their return to the fold. But when the Council's ships reached the human colonies, they found the stars strangely silent. No human signals. No communication. Not even a trace of abandoned outposts. Entire systems had gone dark. At first, the Council believed the humans had fled. Then they realized the truth. The humans had not disappeared. They had hidden. And they were preparing. Back on Earth, deep beneath the surface in vast underground cities, humanity was working faster than ever before. Scientists, soldiers, and engineers moved as one. Every laboratory, every orbital shipyard burned with purpose. Humanity had learned. The Council's technology and improved it, made it smaller, faster, deadlier. Nolan stood in one of the underground command halls, watching as fleets of new ships came online. They will come for us, he said. Elise nodded. Then they'll find what they've been afraid of all along. From the far edges of the Milky Way, Council intelligence began receiving strange reports. Human ships seen near dead systems. Artificial suns appearing in abandoned sectors. Communication relays being hacked and repurposed. The humans had vanished into the shadows of the galaxy, and yet their influence was growing like a spreading flame. Back in the Council chamber, panic began to stir. One by one, species realized how much they had relied on humanity's trade, technology, and protection. Human engineers had powered half the Council's infrastructure. Human diplomats had kept entire sectors from collapsing into war. Without them, the great machine of the galaxy began to creak and falter. The High Speaker summoned the remaining delegates. We must bring them back, she said. But the Valorian delegate shook his head. You cannot summon what no longer obeys. And then came the message. Not a transmission, but a projection across every system, every world, every starport. A simple human voice, calm and certain. This is Earth. The Galactic Council believed it could own us. It believed it could silence us. But today we are free. You have taken from us for too long. Now we will show you what you truly lost. The message ended, leaving silence across thousands of worlds. The Council thought it was a bluff. But days later, Human fleets appeared at the edge of multiple sectors, not attacking, observing. They never fired first. But when attacked, they erased entire fleets within minutes. What frightened the Council most was not the power of human weapons, but their restraint. Every move was precise. Every response calculated. Humanity wasn't fighting for revenge. They were building something greater. The High Speaker watched the reports come in and felt a chill run through her veins. "They're not rebelling," she whispered. "They're evolving." And somewhere beyond the edge of known space, Ambassador Nolan stood aboard the command ship Odyssey, staring out into the dark sea of stars. "They think we left the Council," he said quietly. "But we didn't just leave. We outgrew it." Elise looked at him. "And when they finally realize what that means?" Nolan's gaze hardened as the stars reflected in his eyes. "Then, the universe will understand what it truly lost the day humanity walked away." The Galactic Council chamber had never been so silent. Thousands of delegates from every known species filled the great hall, their colors and forms glowing beneath the massive dome of starlight above. The air shimmered with the heat of emotion, fear, pride, disbelief, as the humans walked in once more, uninvited and unannounced. For the first time in years, Earth's delegation stood before the Council that had once ruled them. The High Speaker sat at the center dais, her elongated eyes narrowing in disbelief. Around her, the alien dignitaries whispered to one another in dozens of languages. The humans had vanished from known space after their withdrawal. They weren't supposed to return, yet here they were, calm, unarmed, but unmistakably in control. At the head of the group was Ambassador Nolan. His hair had grayed since his last appearance, but his voice was just as steady. "High Speaker," he said, "we didn't come here for war." The council chamber stirred, translators humming as the words echoed through the chamber. The High Speaker's voice cut through the noise. "Then why are you here, human?" "To finish what you started." Nolan stepped forward until he stood within the circle of light at the center of the hall. "We came to remind you what you've forgotten," he said quietly. The council was meant to unite, not to control. It was meant to guide, not to own. But it became something else, a cage for every species it claimed to protect. The Valorian representative rose sharply, his scaled body shimmering in anger. "You defy the law of unity. Humanity's arrogance threatens us all." Nolan's eyes met his. "If unity means submission, then you've already lost everything that made you great." The chamber erupted in chaos. Voices clashed, translators stuttered, threats filled the air. Yet Nolan didn't flinch. He raised a hand, and behind him a hologram came to life, an image of the outer rim of the galaxy glowing with new light. Hundreds of stars marked with faint blue signals. "These," Nolan said, "are the systems where humanity now lives. We built cities where the Council saw wastelands. We restored dead planets you abandoned. And in every one of them we made peace, not through domination but cooperation." The High Speaker leaned forward. "You speak of peace, but you arm yourselves with weapons beyond comprehension. Your fleets are everywhere. Your networks spread like vines through every star. That is not peace. That is conquest." "No," Nolan said softly. "That's protection. For the first time, the galaxy is not ruled by fear." From the upper seats, a deep voice spoke. It was the elder of the Rithari, one of the oldest races in the galaxy. "Protection from what, human?" Nolan turned slowly toward him. "From you," he said simply. Gasps echoed across the chamber. The High Speaker slammed her staff against the floor. "You dare accuse this council?" "Yes," Nolan interrupted, his tone calm but unyielding. "Because you've forgotten what it means to be responsible for others. You drain worlds dry for resources. You silence dissent. You decide which species are worthy of survival and which are not. You call it order. We call it fear." The room filled with the low hum of translator drones as the words reached every species in the chamber. Many shifted uneasily. Some avoided eye contact. Others surprisingly nodded. Elise, standing beside Nolan, took a step forward. "Do you know what happened when humanity left your council?" she said, her voice steady. "Dozens of species followed us. The ones you thought were too weak, too small, too unimportant to matter. They joined us. They built with us. They learned with us. And together we thrived." Nolan looked around the chamber. "You thought the day humans left was your victory, but it was your greatest mistake. The High Speaker's expression hardened. And what would you have us do, Ambassador? Bow to humanity's new empire? Nolan smiled faintly. Empire? No, we have no interest in empires. We've seen what they become. He turned and gestured to the hologram again. We are offering something else. A choice. With a single command, the hologram shifted. A new emblem appeared on a simple star encircled by a ring of light. The Accord, Nolan said. A new alliance built on equality. No species above another. No single world controlling the rest. Freedom to choose, to grow, to learn. The Council may continue, but its era of dominance is over. The silence that followed was thicker than before. Some delegates whispered among themselves. Others stared at the humans in disbelief. The Korthian envoy snarled. If you think you can divide us, you are mistaken. The Council will stand united against you. Nolan's expression didn't change. We don't want division. But you can't stop what's already begun. The universe is changing. You can either adapt or be left behind. At that moment, the chamber lights flickered. A low hum spread through the air as the Council's central systems began to reboot. The High Speaker turned sharply to her aides. What is this? An aide's voice trembled. Madam Speaker, the Council's network. It's been overridden. Every screen in the chamber went black, then filled with the same emblem of the Accord. Across the galaxy, every major communication relay displayed the same image. Human technology, silent but unstoppable, had integrated itself into the very systems that once governed them. This isn't an attack, Nolan said. It's a demonstration. We could have taken control. We didn't. We only wanted to show you the truth. The Council's power is built on old foundations. It can no longer hold the weight of the galaxy. The High Speaker's voice was cold. And if we refuse to join you? Nolan looked her in the eye. Then we wish you luck surviving without us. The human delegation turned and began walking toward the chamber doors. No guards moved to stop them. No threats were made. Every being in that hall could feel it. Something vast had shifted. The balance that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years had ended. Outside the chamber, Elise looked up at Nolan. Do you think they'll listen? Nolan exhaled slowly. Maybe not today, but they'll have no choice soon. In the days that followed, the Council fractured. Dozens of member species announced their withdrawal, joining the human-led Accord. Trade networks collapsed. Old alliances broke apart, and entire regions of space declared neutrality. The Council tried to respond, but without humanity's infrastructure, its systems began to fail. The fleets that once inspired fear now floated aimlessly, unable to maintain supply or purpose. Meanwhile, the Accord flourished. Under human guidance, its colonies expanded into uncharted sectors. Artificial suns illuminated new worlds. Medical technology once hoarded by the Council became available to every species. For the first time in galactic history, peace wasn't enforced by power. It was chosen. Months later, Nolan stood aboard the Odyssey, watching the glow of a newborn star ignite in the darkness. Around him, ships from dozens of species worked together. Rethari engineers, Valorian scientists, and human pilots, all under one banner. Elise joined him at the observation deck. Do you think the Council will ever recover? Nolan shook his head slowly. Maybe, but it won't be the same. The galaxy has seen what freedom looks like now. You can't unsee it, she smiled faintly. Do you ever regret leaving? He turned toward her, the light of the new star reflected in his eyes. No, he said. The day we left the Council was the day we found ourselves, and the day the universe learned what it had lost. Outside, the star burned brighter, a symbol of a new beginning, born from the ashes of an old order. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had simply reminded it what it meant to be free.